Back like we never left. Shout out to Michael in a recent video for dropping the suggestion for today's topic. We're going to be talking about how the lineups are going to fit, particularly around Lauri Markkanen, Cody Williams, and Taylor Hendricks, because they're all kind of pseudo small forward, power forward roles. You could argue that obviously Cody Williams is more of a guard in skill set than the other two, which would make perfect sense. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more today. But overall, we're just going over what I think the lineups will end up looking like this season and what we could realistically and both optimistically see from these players overall. And newsflash, Lauri's just going to be Lauri. With that being said, it's your boy Wraith Who's. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications. We do this almost every day. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get into this one. So there's going to be some very interesting lineups that get rolled out. Honestly, I do think that the goal is going to be to tank this year. I think that it's a foregone conclusion, but nevertheless, Will Hardy said abundantly and made it abundantly clear that he was going to roll out the best lineup, the people that deserve the minutes the most. And unless obviously it's like a back-to-back or a occasional phantom injury to Lauri Markkanen, he will be in that starting lineup. So that goes ahead and knocks out one specific spot. Now, whether you slot him at the 3 at the small forward spot or the power forward spot is up to your interpretation of how the game plan works. Lauri Markkanen doesn't necessarily have the greatest, shall we say, dribbling package. At the very least, he hasn't shown it and exercised it in game to the point where he creates his own shot at a high rate. He doesn't, and when he attempted later on down the season, that actually led to some of his percentages dipping because overall, it's just not a very efficient shot for him just yet. I think that since the goal of the team is going to be to tank, I think that he's going to be given a lot more opportunities to actually put the ball on the deck and do things with his own hands, being the shot creator that he has not been expected to be or been required to be in the past. I think that it will bode well for him overall when it comes to the time where the Jazz are trying to become a championship team and they are pushing playoff windows. But for now, it's the opportunity to just try stuff. Just go out there and just do anything. If it fails, cool, we were tanking anyways. But if it goes well, hold on, we add something to the tool bag. Now, I think that he'll probably be put at the 3 because of that. The 4, many people feel like Johnny Juzang will be in the starting lineup. I'm not necessarily completely subscribed to it. I want to see more Taylor Hendricks. I saw more Taylor Hendricks at the end of last season. I think that it just makes more sense for Taylor Hendricks to continue his opportunity. He showed an amazing flash at one point during the Summer League, obviously, but then there was a little bit underwhelming basketball played by him. Defensively, it's there. We understand off ball what he can do. We understand on ball what he can do. We also expect him to take steps forward. He looks like he's gained a little bit more weight, got a little bit more muscle mass added to his frame, not as wiry as he was last year. So I think that's going to bode well for him. As long as he continues to acclimate himself to the system and offensively gets better, I don't see any world where he doesn't get the start over Johnny. Now, Johnny, I think, is probably in that same stratosphere as a shooter, but Johnny probably leans more towards that just because of the roles that we've played him in, the situations that he's had to deal with. I think for that reason, though, we're going to have Lauri at the 3 and Taylor Hendricks at the 4. Not to say that Taylor can't create his own shot, but he's kind of like Lauri where, well, different from Lauri, I would say, because he did a lot of back-to-basket damage when he was in college, but also had the ability to shoot the 3 ball. Lauri does most of his shots off of assists, which either comes in a lob situation or him shooting a 3. And we know how great of a 3-point shooter he is. So their games differ just a little bit because Taylor Hendricks obviously has more recent experience at the very least, going back to basket, having a more simplified offensive game. I think that he's going to find himself with the ball in his hands to create his own shot a little bit less than Lauri will. And for that reason, I think that he's going to slide in at that 4 spot over Johnny. I think that Johnny might end up being the main backup for Taylor Hendricks / Lauri, and then you'll actually have Cody Williams as the backup to whoever starts at the shooting guard spot. Because obviously, I think Jordan Clarkson is going to be in the second unit. I think there's no reason why you wouldn't start Colin Sexton. He ended the season terrifically. The last 50 games were terrific on his part. I think that Keontae George, people are talking too much about him, and he's generating so much of a media buzz. He has to start. You can't not start him out the gate. And he had some highs, but he also had a lot of lows. So now it's time for him to show us, can you play the point guard position? Because if not, I've already told everybody, if you're new to the channel, you might not know, but I'm a big proponent for Colin Sexton playing that point guard spot. He's already undersized for a 2 guard. I think he took massive strides forward from being a black hole on offense at the last part of last season, especially because we got to see that transition from him being very turnover prone, him getting into tough to score spots and not having an open teammate to pass to, him just not being the greatest version of himself that we know he could potentially be. Then we saw the growth. I didn't see that consistent growth from Keontae. I saw up and down spurts, but until I see a consistent stretch of good, I'm going to be hesitant to say, oh yeah, he's a point guard. To me, he's a shooting guard. He likes to score the rock. He gets himself into scoring positions. He doesn't always hit those shots to the tune of obviously 39% shooting from the field and 33% from three-point range, but that doesn't change the fact that he is taking the shots that he should probably take. With that in mind, though, I think this is the year where we decide, okay, since we're taking anyways, Lauri, get your shots up. Keontae, do something. Just do anything. Just learn how to pass the ball properly, please, and show us that you are a point guard, or show us that you're not a point guard. Either way, just show us something. So for that reason, I think Keontae's going to start at the 1. You're going to have Colin Sexton at the 2, and at the very least, for the first probably 20-ish games of the season. And then you'll have Cody Williams backing up Colin Sexton directly and Jordan Clarkson underneath Keontae George. This is going to allow Jordan Clarkson to raise his stock while finding a way to be a little bit less turnover prone than he was last year. And then at the same time, by proxy, it will allow Cody Williams to have a reliable veteran to lean on to put him into scoring positions at times. Because Cody Williams in the Summer League didn't necessarily have the greatest showing at times when it came to creating his own shot. We know he can shoot, but he didn't always create his own shot very fluidly. There were some stretches of the game where he was doing a very good job, though, but because it's kind of here, there, and everywhere in between, you want to make sure you style him alongside somebody that can be that de facto leader and be that controller of the offense. And I think Jordan Clarkson will be proficient at that at the very least until we see a world where he increases his draft stock, or his trade stock, and then potentially sees a trade by the deadline. If not, then, it happened. But otherwise, I think that Cody Williams will slot in at that 2 spot and then potentially play some 3 minutes right there alongside Johnny. And then obviously you'll have Svi, who will still need to find some minutes. So I think between the 3 and the 4, he'll probably be playing those nice little forward spots. Now, it's not going to be terrific minutes, and of course, that's also probably not what was expected, and I don't think they sold him, oh yeah, you're going to have the opportunity to start out the gate. I don't think that was told to him at all. He is an NBA veteran. He hasn't played significant minutes at any point in his career. He's coming from the champion, Boston Celtics. So he understands what it's like to be a role player, to at times sit on the bench for extended periods of time. But like I said, I think that Lauri's ended up going to see a lot of missed games last season. I believe he played 55 games. So I'd say he plays ballpark that same amount this season. But I think that it starts happening a little bit sooner than it did last season, because I want to say 24 out of the last 27 games of the regular season he ended up missing. I think that more of those games are going to be spread out. So you're going to see a lot more games, particularly back-to-backs, because those are the easiest. Just rest, right? And then an occasional phantom, calf strain, lower back soreness, pinched muscle, I don't know, just little stuff. Nothing too crazy. I don't expect him to actually get hurt, but I do think that he's going to have a couple stretches of play where he doesn't play any games, and for that reason, you'll end up seeing a lot more of an offensive burden placed on Taylor Hendricks and Keontae George specifically, and then by proxy, you'll also have Johnny and Svi getting a little bit of a boost in minutes, and Bryce Sensabaugh will probably find his way somewhere in there. I know we didn't talk about him particularly at the beginning of the video, but he's going to be probably getting the short end of this just because last season, while he did show promise, it wasn't promise enough, I would say, over somebody that you drafted as high as obviously they did Cody Williams. So just to add on a little bit, Bryce Sensabaugh, Kyle Filipowski, Isaiah Collier, I think they'll probably be coming from the G League. I think they'll spend a lot of time down there. They'll have some intermittent spurts where they come up and then they play back down, especially if, Jordan Clarkson gets traded, then yes, I definitely think that some of the guards will get some more minutes. I think that Cody Williams will end up seeing a larger chunk of minutes thrown his way if Jordan Clarkson does get traded. It just makes the most sense. Obviously, he'll have some time on the court with Patty Mills. I think that'll be beneficial, but I also think that him being in the gym, learning from the skill set of Colin Sexton, and learning how to add that change of pace at the NBA level to his bag will be the biggest boost to his early development. Because yes, we want him to shoot shots. Yes, we want him to miss shots, but we also want him to get used to taking the right shots. Like I always say, I'm a big critic of Keontae George. I don't think he's a point guard, but at the same time, I always tell people I think that he takes the right shots. They just don't go in. And that's my biggest praise of him, because while he isn't the most defensively reliable, he takes the right shots on offense. And yes, the percentages might make you think, oh, he just shoots anything. He just burps up whatever shot he can. He dribbles the air out of the rock and then just throws something up. And that's not the case most of the time. Sometimes he does have little spurts where it's just like, bro, what are you doing? But I think that he will have a lot of growing pains this year, at the very least in the beginning half, but we'll see some steady stretches of good play. Not just steady, inconsistent, like poor play, and then you see a really good game, and then poor play, and then really good game, and then stretch, and then a really good game. I don't think that's going to happen. And so for that reason, I think that Colin Sexton will likely be his running mate in that starting lineup. And then right behind Colin Sexton will be the one and only Cody Williams. I would like to see Sexton and Williams share the floor a little bit. I think that Cody Williams will show us just how great of a prospect he is very early on in the season. If the first half of the season goes by and he doesn't show us anything really promising, I might scratch my head just a little bit, because I do think that this is going to be the perfect opportunity, even though he is going to be coming off the bench, in my opinion, for him to show us flashes similar to what Keontae George did, but I don't think the lows will be as low because the expectations and the overall number of minutes given to him won't be as massive. But my X factor will be Taylor Hendricks, because this, to me, a lot of people are saying, oh, Walker Kessler's going to get traded. He should get traded. We should send him somewhere. His offensive game didn't improve last year. He was a worse rebounder overall than John Collins. Okay, cool. I get it. I understand. But Taylor Hendricks is one of those guys where a lot of people feel like he was a fraudulent high pick, and I disagree with that. So in order for me to feel like I am validated in my opinion of him, I need him to do really well this year. Or even not really well, but just well enough to where people are like, you know what? He's got a bag to him. He's got a skill set to him. He shoots well from the field. He's shooting pretty solid percentages from three-point range on, 3 to 4 attempts a night. This guy can ball. Hold on. They might actually have something cooking here when they picked him, even though he sat in the G League a lot of last year. It makes sense now why they did, because he's showing. He's starting to shine a little bit. And I think him playing alongside Lauri will allow him to even elevate his game a little bit, because you can stretch the floor out a little bit more. And he's going to have more room to operate. Lauri's going to have more room to operate. And Lauri's going to be putting the deck on the floor a lot more, I would assume. And so it's just going to allow guys to have opportunities to make things happen. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. As always, shout out to my boy Michael for dropping this suggestion in the comment section for the previous video. If you guys have any topic suggestions, go ahead and drop them in the comments of this one. I take a look at all the comments. I might not always get to respond to all of them when I like to, but I do my best. With that being said, as always, it's your boy Wraith Hoops. Thanks for tuning in this video. If you made it this far, go ahead and smash that like button, subscribe, turn on post notifications, become a member, or drop a donation to help support the content. And as always, good morning, good evening, and good night, no matter where you're on the globe watching. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.